Hello, wonderful person, and welcome back to another live dive. This evening, we're going for a night dive, no more tutorial. We're just going to go for an explore and see what we can find. And because it's the evening, I have myself a little adult beverage as well. And yeah, we're going to just see what we can find. So let's get into it. Okay, let's arm this robot. Turn on the lights, and we're in a westerly direction, so I'll turn to the east, and let's go down. As you descend down, it always looks like you're going through space with all the particulates in the water. Kind of being an underwater snowstorm. It's quite mesmerizing. Puts me to sleep actually. But never fear, in 4 meters we'll be on the bottom and we'll see what we can find. Alright, so we're coming up on the bottom now. Slow down a little bit. Oh, we've got a nice big fishy there. Let's see where we're at. You might notice that, whoop, a little bit too close. Get out of dodge. There we go. You might notice that there's a lot more color on the reef, and that's because of the lights. There's a lot of colors when you're diving during the day that you just don't see, mainly red. So the red color gets absorbed by the water, or the red wavelength of light, I should say, gets absorbed by the water and pretty much disappears by about 10 meters. And so you never really see red underwater unless you've got the lights on, like we have now. Oh, just get out of the whip coral's way. There we go. Let's head down, see what we can find. Looks like there's a soft coral over here. Yeah, there we go. So see how that's bright orange during the day? That's like a maroon or sometimes even just black. But at night it's just this iridescent color. I'll try and get a little bit closer for you without setting off the obstacle avoidance if I can. Just tilt the camera down a little bit and we'll just get a little bit closer so you can see what I mean. Pretty cool. And then right next to it is a little black thing, and that's a feather star related to a sea star or starfish. It's a echinoderm, and it's just filter feeding. So that's little black things are its arms, and it's just catching all those particulates that float past it in the water, which is its food. Pretty cool. All right, let's see what else we can find. I find at night I hit the obstacle avoidance a little bit more often. You find you're trying to get a little bit closer to things so the lights illuminate them properly. And also probably the adult beverage doesn't help the control. But we're here to have a bit of fun and see what we can find. Let's head over this way. I might do some strafing here, make it a little bit easier to see. Oh, that's pretty cool. What do we got here? Can you see, or I'll just go a little bit up current for you so we'll float kind of towards it. This is pretty cool. Right there in the center of the screen, there's this big slug thing. It looks like kind of a loaf of bread. It's called a pineapple sea cucumber. There it is. Oh. And what it is, it's a vacuum cleaner of the ocean. It's what it constantly does is eat the algae-ridden sand, kind of the yellow and green sand, and it spits pure, clean white sand out its bum. And so it's a vacuum cleaner. Very, very important. A keystone animal on the reef. Really need them there to constantly clean the sand and keep the algae in check. And so it doesn't smother the reef. Really, really important. Let's see what we can find over in this direction. There's lots of pretty coral. Alright, I think I'm getting to the end of the tether. I'll just tilt up and have a look at where my tether is. There it is. And that's probably the direction we should head in. Make sure we've got lots of tether. It can be a little bit disorientating at night because you can't see the full reef. You can't see exactly where you're going, but also there's lots of really interesting animals here at night, and so you can't help but just sort of hang around one little spot. You know, when you find a bit of coral, just fully explore it and see what you can find, because there's lots of really interesting stuff. So most of the animals that you're used to or that you know about on the Great Barrier Reef are the daytime animals. They're the ones that are all photographed most often. But there's a whole plethora of animals that are nocturnal and only come out at night. And this is what we get to see when we go for a night dive. Lots of invertebrates, lots of little shrimps are probably the big one. And then there's lots of fish as well that are asleep. And they sleep in the little crevices of the coral. I just saw one in front of me there. I wonder if he'll come back out. But there was an angelfish just sleeping in the coral just up ahead of me here. I'll have a look down and see if I can see him. No, he's not there anymore. And then, of course, because you've got the lights as well, you will attract fish. Fish love the light, and what they'll do is the little fish will get attracted, and you'll see them sort of swimming around the edge of the screen sometimes. And because little fish are attracted to the robot, bigger predatory fish are also attracted to the little fish. And so it's generally not straight away because the lights are off when the robot's not in use. But once, let me just stop for a second here. But once, about 10 minutes into your go, around about now, you'll start to see more fish hanging around the robot. And the longer you dive for, the more fish you'll see. And sometimes there'll be schools of predatory fish hanging around the robot. And you'll just see them in the corner of the screen. But if you do a little spin around, sometimes you'll see the school as well. So whenever I see a big fish sort of swim in front of the screen on a night dive, I always spin around just to see if it's part of a larger school of fish that are using me as a way to get their dinner, basically, and attack those little fish that are hanging out in the lights. So what I think we might do here is we'll just work out which way we're drifting, which seems to be sort of in this direction, which way the current's kind of flowing, and we're just going to float along with the current for a little while and just see what we can find. You start to see there's a lot of shrimps and animals and all sorts of little fish swimming in front of the screen now. It's 10-minute mark, and yeah, you just get more and more as you go on. It's pretty amazing how much life comes out to hang out in the light. But night dives are awesome. I get totally addicted to them. I love night diving. I probably spend an hour every night just driving the robot around just for fun. It only takes me about 5 or 10 minutes to do my checks to make sure everything's working. But I just find myself getting lost underwater, because night diving in real life, when you're scuba diving, is super interesting. Just like this dive here, there's lots of interesting stuff to see. But it's also a little bit scary, because it's dark and you can never see what's behind you, and you're always scared that there's a shark just sitting behind you, and it's cold as well, and you just want to be in a nice toasty bed. So this is a really great way to see the reef at night, because generally the Great Barrier Reef is inaccessible I should say, for most people as a night dive. Most of the charter boats that go out to the Great Barrier Reef are just day boats. Very few boats actually stay out overnight and allow you to go for a night dive and kind of see the reef as it is at night. You might also notice that the corals are a little bit furrier, probably is the best way to describe it. And that's because corals are animals, and they have little tentacles. Think of them kind of like a little jellyfish. And they feed at night. And so during the day, those tentacles are all retracted. And so coral's quite smooth, but at night, all those tentacles come out. And so it's kind of got a furry effect. And you'll actually find, if you spend some time on the sand, there's a whole heap of sort of corals and anemones that kind of pop out of the sand at night and feed. And during the day, you wouldn't see anything. They would all be under the sand. So yeah, lots of cool, interesting stuff to see at night. And I just love the colors. I love seeing these rich colors that you get from the illumination of the lights. Alrighty, well, I think that was a lot of fun. We saw some really cool stuff, and yeah, every night dive's unique. Get in there, and it's all about just having a go. The more time you spend underwater, the more time you spend exploring, the more cool stuff you'll see. Very few people will ever see a turtle or a shark on their first dive, but if you do a couple of dives, maybe by your third or your fifth dive, you might see something. Oh, there's a big fish, that's a sweetlip. You might see something really big and cool. And those big, what we call charismatic megafauna, are super interested in the robot as well. So you'll find them come up and hang out with you for 10 minutes, or really as long as you still interact with the animal, which is super cool. Alrighty folks, well, I think that might do us for this evening. I hope you enjoyed our first live night dive. And once again, if you're interested, of course you can control this robot. You just head to teleport.fish, sign up for an account, grab some credits, and away you go. You can control this robot tonight if you like. And yeah, please support us, buy some credits, join our Patreon, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.